This bullet journal now holds a whole year of my life, and it is time to set up a new one. This beautiful bright blue journal has been a loyal companion, and its theme embossed on the cover, that is Sehnsucht, English longing, was very fitting for another year of holding back during the pandemic. The cover of the new journal that I chose for the upcoming academic year says Wanderlust, and I hope this motto is also a good omen for the Rona developments. On the label, as well as the inside of the journal, there are a few words on Wanderlust. Wanderlust, the great outdoors, a globe charters tribalizing spirits. Far and wide, untrodden paths, less traveled roads, deepest rivers, highest mountains, tips of icebergs, birds, butterflies, passionate pioneers, hikers, ramblers, roamers, enchanted forests, tree huggers, log into nature, the lookbook for modern-day explorers. I won't lie, these words are a bit cheesy, but I still like them. And I'm hoping that we can make the transition from Sehnsucht to Wanderlust this year and explore the world again. Like all of my bullet journals so far, this notebook is a Leuchtturm, and the main reason why I stick with this brand is that it has 150 pages in one journal, which allows me to fit an entire academic year into it. The Leuchtturm comes with a few extras like a back pocket and a sheet of organizational stickers that I have never ever used. And I also invested into this pen loop that was supposed to match the color of the book. But since it is much darker, I haven't decided yet whether I want to use it or not. The notebook also has two visually distinct bookmarks that I use a lot. I usually use one to mark the current monthly overview spread that I'm in, and the other one for the current weekly. Included in the front of the notebook there is an index that I have tried to use in the past, but since it was never really useful to me, I decided to repurpose it as a dashboard with a pocket. And will use materials from this beautiful treasure here, a book for paper lovers. I decided to keep the decorations fairly minimal this time, and will not use stickers or washi tapes or all the things that I typically like to use, but only alphabetical stamps for easy headers, some markers, and some papers from this book. Of course, a pencil and some black pens are also important to pre-draw and draw the layouts. Since all these papers come from the same source, their designs and colors match pretty well, and I really loved the yellow-teal combo that I went for. Now that we have all the materials together, we can dive into the setup. Other reasons why I still really like to use the Leuchtturm journals are the fact that they have thin pages, so they feel quite scrapbooky, and it is not so difficult to actually write and scribble into them. And the cover is quite sturdy and doesn't get dirty very quickly, and if it does, it is easy to wipe off. Since I'm literally taking my journal everywhere, this is a very important factor. First, I cut out a pocket on the right and covered it up with a cool design. The pocket I will use for paper scraps, notes, tickets, and bills that I want to keep somewhere or carry with me. On the side, I added a tab on the bottom because I decided to divide all my yearly collections into different categories and to give each category one tab so that they're easy to find. I hope this explanation made sense, but it will become clear in the course of the setup. For the left-hand side, I'm trying to decide which design paper I will use to cover up the page. And you can see that I don't pre-plan my setups in detail, but really create everything out of the whim of this very moment. It always annoys me that the very first 2 pages of a notebook never open properly, so I just glued them together. To complete this dashboard spread, which was, by the way, inspired by Ella the Bee, I created a flap that allows me to hide some personal notes. This is a spot where I, for example, like to keep my healthcare data so that it is always easy to access but private at the same time. The next spread is going to be my future log. Again, I added the tab at the side, and since 3 months fit on one page, I will need 2 double spreads. Therefore, I cut off the top part of the page in the center Dutch door style so that you can flip the page and still see the same header. The most effective future log layout for me is just a header for the month without any extras or mini calendars, etc. I just rather use that space for writing. The stickers I used are from planwithme, and of course I started the future log with September according to the academic year. For the main header at the top, I just used a paper strip and my alphabetical stamps, and then I added this cute little paint roll that is super easy to draw. I first saw Riley Autumn doing this, and I just thought this idea was as brilliant as it was cute and simple. This style of paint roll paper and stamp header I will keep carrying on throughout the entire setup. After the future log, another really crucial type of spread is the birthday calendar. Setting up this spread, I followed the exact same pattern as for the future log. First, I added the tab on the side, and then I cut out the Dutch door at the top, since I will again fit 3 months on each page and want to keep the header visible through all of them. Instead of using the term birthday calendar, I went with the German equivalent, which is just a question of preference. I just like the sound of the word Geburtstagskalender a little better. In the beginning of each new month, I come back to the future log and the birthday calendar to transfer all the important dates and birthdays into the new monthly calendar. The setup of the spread is basically the same as in my last bullet journal. For each month, I use a circular calendar, which is again by planwithme, and then I use the room in between the circles to write in the name of the person and optionally their year of birth. This I will then connect with the date of the person's birthday in this sort of futuristic computer style look. The next category of yearly collections is going to be anything related to health. Since I will have 4 different types of spreads under this category, I only drew the tab on the very last of the 4 pages that I will need for this. In my last bullet journal, I have tried out a simple health log for the first time, and it turned out to be such an important spread for me that I have used so much that I decided to expand a little bit on the health topic. Again, I used tabs to separate the 4 health spreads from each other, but this time small ones at the top. And of course, the Dutch door for the header. The first health spread is going to be a self-care / morning routine spread. It is basically a huge tracker that should help me with keeping myself accountable and with staying motivated. The last month I had a smaller version of this in my Bujo monthly setup, but now I decided to try out converting this into a layout for the entire year. The columns are for the days of the week, obviously, and each week has its own line, numbered according to the calendar weeks of the year. So for each day of each week, I have basically 3 empty boxes, or 3 columns as I call it, to fill in with my habits. Each habit has their own symbol that I will fill in the respective line and column. These are nutritional with fasting and vitamins, then skin care as well as health and teeth care. Another thing that I thought I might track here are frequent symptoms like headaches, back pain, or stomach aches. On the next page, I will keep my workout log. In the past, this has also proven to be a very useful spread to me. Same as with the routine tracker, being able to check off these things in the morning motivates me to do them consistently. This time I have the days of the month from 1 to 31 at the side and a column for each month. For a better overview, I highlighted all the weekends, and in these columns I will fill in when I did which workout. I have basically 2 boxes for each day to fill in up to 2 different things. In combination with my workouts, I want to record my weight development. So I sort of squeezed a little graph into the side here with a weight scale and a time scale. Every 2 weeks I will then fill in my current weight. Below that I have the key. I do the Nintendo Ring Fit adventure as my daily workout, but I also enjoy walks and hiking a lot, as well as salsa dancing. These things I also consider as workouts here because doing them keeps me moving and supports my health and well-being, and I want to try doing more of it. Even though the spread might give the impression that I am super focused on stuff like weight and working out, I want to point out that I am actually not a very sportsy sort of person, and this spread is supposed to help me with achieving the actually quite modest goals that I have. Next up is my period tracker that I will cover in a whole separate video. So if you're interested to see how that layout works, stay tuned and subscribe so you won't miss it. And finally, my doctor's log that I have used in my last bullet journal as well, and that I have filled up until the very last square of empty paper. Each time that I go to a doctor, I will just make some notes on what the issue was, what the doctor said, and what the therapy is going to be, and whether or not this was successful. One row is to track any symptoms that I might have. Then, of course, vaccines, so that I don't forget what I got when. Vision, because I am unfortunately as blind as a mole and want an accessible place where I can write down the values of my glasses and then potentially how they change over time. And then I have the small spot to note down the medical history in my family, things like genetic issues that might be useful to know in some circumstances, but that I will never remember from the top of my head. Like before, the spread should not give the impression that I am super controlling of my own health, but rather shows that I'm actually quite bad at this part of adulting. So because I am so bad at these things, I created the spread. The next category of spreads is going to be everything that has to do with the organization. For lack of a better word, I call the header Stay Organized. I bundled together a bunch of different types of spread under this category. First, a cleaning tracker, where I wrote in things related to the car, things I want to clean twice a year, things I want to do monthly, and things I want to do weekly. The way this works is that each time I'm cleaning one of these things, I'm gonna write in the date when I did it so that I can refer to it anytime to see when I have to clean what next. It's just easier for me when I have these things written down on paper because then I don't have to keep them in my head. In the same style, I set up a when did I last spread for everything but cleaning related things. Here I will just list a bunch of things as they come up, such as fertilizing the plants, or when did I change my contacts, or when did I change the brush head of my toothbrush. Another important organizational page for me is one where I note down all my recurring expenses that come up every month or every year and that are very easy to forget about. So besides regular bills such as rent, this is the place where I write down all my subscriptions, when they are due and how much they are. Because first of all, I find it difficult to not lose track of them if I don't write them down. And second, I really need a place where I have all the renewal dates to be able to cancel things in time. On the right, I have room to write down things that I would like to buy. The header is German. It says Schlaf noch mal drüber, which means think about it again or sleep a night over it. This just helps me to stop the very first impulse of buying something in the moment that I want it, and then only buy things when I actually need them. Hopefully. In the bottom, I squeezed in a very small growth tracker for my bullet journal accounts on YouTube and Instagram. The last double spread of the Stay Organized category is going to be a wish list and room for gift ideas, as well as for recommendations. Last year I had separate spreads for both wish lists and gift ideas, but I learned that even though they are very useful, I don't need that much room for them. So I put them together on just one page. And finally, the very last category of my yearly spreads for this bullet journal setup is going to be a year in pictures that I called impressions. Here I have room to stick in one picture for each month, but until then I don't want my spreads to look completely empty. So I stuck in a washi tape with a fitting pattern for each month and wrote the name of the month on it. Later, when I will stick in the pictures, I will use this little strip of washi tape as sort of a header for each picture. This is actually an idea I got from my mom, who did this in her bullet journal, and I have never seen anyone else doing this before, and I thought this is a very cool and pretty idea. So credits to my mom here. I hope you enjoyed this video and found inspiration for your own yearly collections, whether you're setting up your bullet journal like me in September for the academic year or later in January. Please leave a like to help fight the algorithm, and I wish you all a good start into the new semester and a wonderful September.